What's good, everybody? I hope y'all are having an amazing 4th of July. I smell the burgers on the grill, hot dogs sizzling. Hopefully the ribs are going crazy too. Best believe I'ma be over some of y'all houses later to get a plate. Best believe that. But anyway, for real though, I'm hoping that y'all are having a great day. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about two people that aren't having the best days and really not having the best couple of days. And those people that I'm going to be referring to are none other than Keith Lee and Taraji P. Henson. Now, why would these two amazing individuals be having bad days? Well, this is what we're going to be breaking down today. Now, just to give a very, very brief overview of, who these two are, I honestly feel like I don't have to, but I will anyway for those that have been living under a rock. But for those that don't know, Keith Lee is a very, very popular food critic and has millions of followers across TikTok, Instagram, all that. A lot of people follow him for his food reviews, and he is someone that I have covered on my channel for a little while now, right? I made, a few videos here and there, and for as much as people follow him for his criticism and critiques of restaurants and small businesses, he is no stranger to a little controversy here and there. Now, Taraji, as many of you may know, Taraji P. Henson is a famous Golden Globe and Academy Award nominated actress. Many people know her from her famous role as Cookie from the hit show Empire. And recently she hosted the BET Awards this past week. So now I'm going to be completely honest with you. BET Awards were a joke, as they usually are. It wasn't always like that. Y'all really had to be outside for that part of history. Like the BET Awards really used to be like one of the biggest nights on TV. It really did. But then it just lost its way. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother video. But anyway, while she was hosting the award show, there was a segment during the show where they had came back from commercial break, and Taraji was doing a bit where she was walking around the audience and she was giving flowers to people that she felt deserved to be recognized, I guess, right? But instead of it being a moment that was funny or cool or, memorable or anything like that, it ended up being very awkward. And, when she gets to where Keith Lee and his wife were sitting, that's just when it just went off the rails. Now, right next to them was another big TikTok creator by the name of Jordan the Stallion, or Jordan Howlett. He always makes TikToks about how people always think he looks older than he is. He's made videos with Method Man, the rapper, Kevin Hart. The list goes on, right? But Taraji goes up to Jordan, and I can't even explain to you the secondhand embarrassment that came over me when all this went down. Just take a look, man.
Lil Wayne, y'all came out of Beast, baby. Yeah, came out of Beast. Flage featuring Lil Wayne is out everywhere. Love y'all, BET. There you go. Y'all better go support. Give her a flower. There you go. All right. We have a trailblazer in the house tonight. But no sitting around this man. Keep your butts in the seats in this aisle. You hear me? Now, God bless you, sir. Thank you so much for what you do to the culture. I appreciate you. Okay? He needs his flower.
I'm sorry. I had to pause it there really quickly because she says thank you to this man, right? And a lot of people were looking around like, who the hell is this? Like she's giving this man kudos and saying how he's done so much for the culture. But most people in the audience have no idea who he is. Now, I would assume that he's an important person, right? But Taraji never says his name or anything like that. So it was just kind of awkward just to even start it off. And I'm not saying the man's not important. No one knows who he was.
Where we going next? The Method Man lookalike. Method's married, are you? Are you? Hi, how are you? Mr. Keith Lee, I know what you're thinking right now. This is about a 10.9 out of a 10.
Oh my God. And this is where it starts, ladies and gentlemen. So Taraji spots Jordan and calls him Method Man and all that, which is cool because that's his whole thing, right? That's the whole joke. A lot of people on TikTok call him Method Man because he does resemble Method Man, right? Like he does look like him, like he'd be his damn son. And, you know, like I said, he had Method Man in one of his videos and, you know, it was a whole thing, right? So that's fine. But once she starts flirting with him, you know, you can see the uneasiness in the body language. He was a little nervous, which I can understand, especially because it's a live event and you got this big ass camera in your face, which is a million times different than filming content in front of your phone or in front of just a regular DSLR camera like that. Like it's completely different. But you can tell he was a little reserved, but you know, still smiling though. Then she makes the mistake of calling him Keith Lee. Mind you, Keith Lee is sitting 2 seats down from him and his wife is sitting right next to him. But right when Taraji calls him by the wrong name, you instantly see Jordan's face. And it was the kind of look that even if you had the TV on mute, like no sound coming from the TV at all, you still could feel the embarrassment through the screen.
Oh my God. I got caught up in my own inner monologue. I'm so sorry. You're thinking this is a 10.9 out of 10. Let it go, girl. My bad. You fine too, so call me. Give him his flower.
Man, Taraji, this was bad. This was all bad. So once Taraji realizes she fucked up, she then, in the moment, looks over to Keith Lee and, you know, does her bit again, right? She starts it over. To which you can see how pissed off Keith is. But he's trying his damnedest to smile through it and just let it rock, which is pretty on brand from him. Obviously, he's not gonna get up, start yelling at her, like none of that. Like it's live television, okay? But Keith stays as positive as he can in this awkward ass moment. And you can tell the whole room just caught secondhand embarrassment. And it was something you could feel even at the crib, even at home. I mean, the camera was panning to everyone and you saw their reactions to what happened. It was just bad. There's no other way to put it. But if that whole screw up wasn't enough, Taraji makes it worse by continuing to flirt with him in front of his damn wife. Come on now, Taraji.
Caught up in my own inner monologue. I'm so sorry. You're thinking this is a 10.9 out of 10. Let it go, girl. My bad. You fine too, so call me. Give him his flower. Oh. Let's get a flower here. Yes. Call me.
Man, this was definitely messy as shit. And, you know, after that, Taraji tried to move on with the rest of the show. But it was one of those moments where you know that this is going to be the talk of the night. Like, fuck everything else that happens after this. You know, it happens, fuck everything else that happens for the rest of the show. This will be what everyone remembers, which is a shame. It really is. But this whole thing went from bad to worse when Keith Lee himself decided to post and delete a video of him throwing the rose that Taraji gave him on the ground with a caption that read, "Our name will be known in every room it's supposed to be, when it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to be, with no confusion." Now, after he posted that video, it amped up social media even more and turned it into a mega storm of people shitting on him, shitting on Taraji, and it was only a matter of time until, you know, he himself decided to address it on his own platform himself, and that's exactly what he did. Take a look.
Last night was the BETAwards, and right now it's something on my mind. Let's talk about it. First and foremost, I want to start by saying I am not upset at Taraji P. Henson by any stretch of the imagination. And not only that, in my opinion, she smoked it last night. I don't think for 1 second Taraji had any ill will or any ill intentions behind the situation. The situation happened the way it did. It is what it is. I made a video last night where I had the rose that was given to me in my hand and I let it fall on the floor. The reason I did this had nothing to do with Taraji P. Henson. The reason I dropped it on the floor is that I wholeheartedly believe that wasn't my rose. That wasn't my rose. That wasn't my moment. It was given to me, but it wasn't mine. And I always say, I don't want nothing that ain't mine. I want what's meant for me, nothing less, nothing more. The entire segment on the production side felt extremely rushed. Not only did it feel rushed, it did not feel intentional. It did not feel purposeful. I'm forever thankful for every room that I'm in. I was more than thankful and more than grateful to just sit there and enjoy the show. Me and my wife, we looked amazing. We felt amazing. We was enjoying the show. I've always spoke about my social anxiety. And for me, just to get out and be in that moment was more than enough for me. So to take me and my wife out of our seats, put us in different seats, give Taraji no direction to who we are or what we do, felt extremely unprepared and unprofessional to me. I'm personally a fan of Taraji. I've been for years and I always will be. I love to see her get the recognition that she deserved in that moment and had a platform and a stage that she's always deserved. For this situation to take away from her moment and our moment was unfair to both of us. And another example of this is a picture of my wife has been going around, and it was a small part caught from an entire moment to make it seem like she had an attitude with Taraji. My wife and myself understand the flirting that Taraji was doing was fully improv and fully joke. It was a hard situation for all of us to be in. We fully understand she made it up on the fly. I was there to just enjoy the show. I was invited. No situations and in life in general. I never longed for the spotlight. If I wanted the spotlight, I would have accepted a quarter of the opportunities that's been presented to us. But none of those opportunities were for me or my family. If you understand that, you understand it. If you don't, I'm okay with that. I'm always going to be myself. I've always been myself. Nothing about this journey, about this ride, about where we at or where we going to be is going to change me. Never have and never will.
So from this video, he says something that I feel like a lot of people may have missed. And that is that Keith Lee and his wife were actually supposed to be sitting where Jordan was sitting and vice versa, right? Or at least Keith was. The production crew came for whatever reason and decided to switch Keith Lee and Jordan's seats. They didn't provide a reason. They didn't even let Taraji know that they had switched places. And that part I believe, because BET can't get anything right to save their lives. Maybe that's the reason they're selling the network as a whole anyway. But I digress. After this response, Taraji heard all the noise and decided to address it herself on IG. And this is what she had to say. Life really is too short for this behavior. He wasn't in his seat. They give celebrity assigned seats. I rehearsed all damn day to go hit my mark, and that young man wasn't in his seat. So he missed his moment. His ego is hurt. He will be fine. I cleaned it up at the end of the show. No love lost here. Hashtag God bless. Now, that was, just that response was about as shady as, a goddamn, I mean, it was ridiculous, right? It was crazy. But I can agree with that last segment because watching the show, I did see her apologize later on in the show for it, right? It was basically towards the end of the show. Nobody was paying attention, really. I mean, people were getting up, getting out of these seats. She was letting people know that it was a mix up. She didn't mean it. But this is where the drama kind of dies off. But this whole situation has social media kind of in a crossroads in terms of fan bases because nobody knows who to really put this blame on for this whole situation going the way that it did. Keith Lee fans are going after Taraji fans are going after Keith Lee, and then you have people in the middle that are looking at both sides, and that's where I fall in. This whole situation was pretty embarrassing, but I also think that this was just an honest mistake. Like, these types of things happen when you have a live event. That's why people make a big deal when things are live, because literally anything can happen and people fuck up. Now, starting with the name screw up, that happens. But I gotta blame the showrunners the most. You doing this skit with the host and you send her out there, not making sure that she knows who she's talking to, what they look like, any of that. Now, Taraji, I'm gonna put a little bit of blame on you too, because you on the internet a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't like you don't know who folks are, and it's like, a lot of celebrities, a lot of big time celebrities have talked about Keith Lee. So, how you don't know Keith Lee, but okay, fine. Let's just say that you don't know him. All right. You don't know him. Cool. But just doing a fraction of research would have bypassed this whole thing. And it was just poor execution all around. You can't run a live event assuming that everyone knows everybody. Like it just seemed lazy by BET and the people putting this whole bit together, right? To not make sure that one, people were in the right seats, and two, that you knew who you were talking to, right? Like that's just lazy. Point blank. Now to talk about Taraji flirting with Keith Lee, The flirting part of the bit was weird, but it was also a joke, and Keith did say in his video that, it was a joke, that she kind of, she was just kind of going with it on the fly, but still a joke nonetheless. It was a bad one. It was a tacky joke, but it was a joke. Whoever wrote that whole bit needs to go back to the drawing board, because that whole thing just came across as tacky and a little bit disrespectful, because to the public it looked like you, Taraji, were flirting with a married man in front of his wife, and that's definitely what got a lot of people pissed in the first place. The name screw up was one thing, but continuing to flirt with the man in front of his wife was crazy and a little cringe. Right now, this is where I go to Keith Lee. Right, this is where I go to him, because this whole thing shows you how it only takes one instance for something negative to happen for people to completely turn on you. And that's exactly what happened. This whole situation exposed a lot of Keith Lee haters and detractors. You could tell that they were waiting for something, right? They wanted something to say negatively about him, but they just never really could. They never had nothing to really stand on. Again, he literally reviews food and restaurants for a living, right? Like, what drama and negativity could that really cause somebody? But unfortunately, this wasn't the last thing that Keith Lee had to deal with at the BET Awards, because another video recently went viral where I'm assuming him and his wife, along with his team, were leaving the BET Awards, and some random person comes up to him and trolls him and calls him DDG, which, I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you know who DDG is. Famous YouTuber, now he's a rapper. He goes out with Haley Bailey. They got a kid together, all that kind of stuff. But just take a look at this video.
That was you, bro. DDG, bro. DDG, bro. DDG, bro. DDG, bro. DDG, bro. DDG.
I get your content.
DDG, bro.
I get your content.
I thought you were DDG, bro.
Now, here's the thing. If Keith Lee whoops one of y'all ass, because people tend to forget, Keith is a mixed martial artist. Like, I believe he used to fight in the UFC before he transitioned to doing food reviews, and even his brother he still fights. Like, he still does UFC fights. I say that to say that he will knock your ass smooth the hell out, and after he does that, he's going to rate it 1 through 10. But if he's still off on one of y'all, then what is the narrative going to be? I'll just take a stab at it, and I'll say that if he does that, y'all will say that he was putting on a front the whole time. He ain't really a good dude, blah, 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 right? And it's shit like this where I feel like he's being purposely picked at for a certain response. And really, all y'all got to do is leave that man alone. Straight up. Now, I do have to call it like I see it here, right? In the video where Keith, is dropping the flower on the ground at the BET Awards after Taraji gave it to him, it was a little shady, or at least it appeared that way. It just came off attention seeky. And the fact that, he deleted it doesn't really look too good on his end. But he did come back and make a second video clearing it up. So, do with that what you will. Now, I've seen the debate that has erupted from this situation where people are comparing influencers to the regular celebrities that, most people think about when they think of a celebrity, and how someone like Keith Lee is not a real celebrity, and he should be grateful that he was even breathing the same air as Taraji P. Henson, and that Taraji earned her way into the spotlight, and how she's a trained actress and she's accomplished all these great things, and Keith Lee ain't did shit. And to that I say, I spit at that, because being a celebrity quite simply means just being a famous person or being a well-known person. Like, that's the literal definition. Y'all can look it up. Some of you may not like to hear this, but Keith Lee is a celebrity. Now, he may not call himself that, but that's what it is. That man has almost 17 million followers on TikTok alone. And, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that know who the hell he is. So that sounds like a celebrity to me. The argument is flawed, man. And honestly, it's stupid. Because yes, we see Taraji on the big screen and we see her on TV and all of that, and that's well and good. But Keith Lee is also a celebrity in his own right, because of the fact that he's actually done a lot for different communities out there. Y'all do realize that one good review from Keith Lee at your restaurant, within that hour of him posting the video, you're gonna have like 300 cars pull up to your restaurant. And they call it the Keith Lee effect. Like, that's a real thing. That's real. You feel me? Like, tons of people's lives have been changed because of, you know, his content. So, you know, to just write him off like, you know, he's like a nobody is really disingenuous. And that's where that's where the conversation loses me, because it's just like, what are we talking about? At the end of the day, a celebrity is a famous person. Doesn't matter what you're famous for. At that point, you're just famous, right? Like, you're famous, you're a celebrity. It is what it is, right? We live in a day and age where really anybody can be famous, right? And anybody can call themselves a celebrity. So, you know, come on, man. But overall, just to wrap this video up, I really don't want this to be super long, but, you know, this whole thing really got blown out of proportion and took on a life of its own. There were flaws made by everyone in this situation. There's fault to go around. Taraji messed up with the names, the flirting, and the response that she had on Instagram, right? That was very shady, filled with shade, filled with, you know, negative energy, you know, being blurted out there on Instagram. You know, you didn't really need to add fuel to the fire with that. Keith Lee with the whole post and delete, right? That didn't really look too good. And just BET, right? BET overall, with the overall production of the show, they're also at fault as well, because the BET Awards was a mess from top to bottom. The whole thing was a mess, and the bit itself wasn't funny or entertaining. It was just awkward. And the crazy thing is that people are still going in on Taraji in her comments right now on Instagram. It's crazy. And the BET Awards been over. But, you know, it's crazy. But, you know, it's done, y'all. We got to wrap this up. Nobody is canceling anybody over this, and nobody should be canceled. For what? Why? You know, like, I mean, seriously, like, we gotta wrap this up, y'all. Wrap this up. Come on, man. But that's all I really wanted to say. I just wanted to get my 2 cents on this whole situation, man. It was just blowing up all out of proportion, you know. But I will say that it looks like Keith Lee is not really having the greatest start to the summer that I feel like he would have liked, you know, nor is Taraji. I don't think that she was expecting to have this kind of backlash after hosting the BET Awards. It's crazy. But if you made it this far in the video, make sure to smack a like on the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe for the one time. Peace.